Uduasha city, where the sun is a mirror and the moon a shadow. 800 years ago, the gates of death were broken by the Emperor Immortal. The five key bearers, however, had already unlocked them and walked right through. It is in Uduasha city they dwell. Now, the ghost field breathes next to our reality, lit by the eternal flame of the well of Udu. It is a second skin, a place where thought and will struggle against gravity and light. In other places, the dead congregate in the ghost field, but in Uduasha, the well city, the hell city, they fall straight into the flames. See its glittering districts: Kshitijpur, where the rich plot to buy the horizon; Bunda West, where the refugees of two different nations flock; and Pasarhandu, the vertical maze of market and murder. And here is Udepat, where the ceaseless temple resides. Its inhabitants, a family, a snake, and a god. The temple has stood since before the gods of this world were forgotten. Watch as it turns the wheels of revolution. Welcome to Desperate Attune, an actual play podcast about people who take risks so they can survive against the odds. Well, hi. Welcome back to Desperate Attune and our current campaign of Blades in the Dark, called A Candle Ablaze, set in the city of Uduasha. I'm Tree, or Soumithri. I'm your GM, and I will be running this game for you today.
My name is Emma. I am playing Joan, a retired ghost fighter, and I use she/her pronouns.
Hi, I'm Klow. In real life, my name is Zoheb, and I'm a he/him. And I'm playing Miraz Chakraborty, the crew's leech, who is an engineer turned cult leader.
I'm Prince, he, him. I play Vickers, a roof baller and Miraz's wife.
I'm Soap. I play Abbas, the religious scholar, and pain in Miraz's side. And my pronouns are he and him.
Oh, I actually forgot my pronouns, which are all of them. I really don't care.
Hey guys, it's Zoheb with the recap of our previous episode. We learned about the Udiput Development and Restoration Committee, whose leader, the Begum Bushandhara, has just been empowered by the city of Uduasha to buy out the Ceaseless Temple, tear it down and replace it with a shopping mall or public toilet, whatever fits their fancy. In order to deal with Bushandhara and their ongoing problem with Morosem and his thuggish friends, and to demonstrate the importance of the temple to the local community, the Chakraborty family have decided to throw a charity fundraiser roofball match at the temple, inviting, of course, all their enemies. Preparations for the party are underway. Meanwhile, Miraz needs to recover from his injuries sustained in the last score, and Abbas has taken him to the University of Udu, where an old friend of his is a renowned doctor. Abbas has another agenda with this visit. He's been thinking about revolution and wants to get, so to speak, the old gang back together. We left off just as Abbas and Miraz entered the university and collided with Abbas's old nemesis, Yunus and Khayat.
All right, so we can go into the infirmary where my friend is, whose name I have now forgotten because the name is something. I think it was Triparna Sen or something. Yeah, yeah, okay. All right, okay. So we're in. What's the? I guess it's an infirmary. I guess we'd have to find her.
I mean,
Probably.
Yeah,
busy doing
you know where
things.
her office is, but I think she's doing rounds. So, you probably just come across her while she's walking the halls. I think she's probably got a few students that she's doing the rounds with, right? So she's they're going from bed to bed, and she's telling them how to the signs, what's common, what's not common, that kind of thing, right? I think the way that this is very different from kind of Akarosi medicine that is practiced in the Imperial Quarter, where everything is carefully measured and lots of things are tapped and poked and looked at, is that you see Triparna, she has some Attune training, right? Like she's got like sensitivity to the ghost field. I think we realized that like all of the doctors in Uduasha do have like training in like being attuned to the ghost field. So when she kind of like is inspecting this patient, she's not just like looking at like them, she's inspecting them also like how they are in the ghost field, and she's able to like tell some things about like how their body is doing, how their mind is doing from that.
All right, so like reading their life forces,
Yeah.
so to speak, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like the flow of energy in their
Like
body.
holding their hands and like seemingly just like reading their pulse, but in fact like doing much more than just going, yep, 60 beats per minute, very low.
Yeah, I think we can. I think Abbas will feel like he can just walk up and start talking. We'll see if Triparna feels the same way.
I just sat down in a wheelchair. It's not my wheelchair. There was just a wheelchair there. I just sat down in it, waiting.
I think that Abbas is like I feel like Abbas hasn't actually like spoken with Triparna in a while. Like he's not been into the university in a while, right? So I think he just saunters up. He's got his hands behind his back a little bit, and he just calls out Dr. Sen. But he's saying doctor in a kind of jokey kind of way, right? Like, I don't actually have to call you doctor. I'm just
Yeah. So I think Triparna is like she's fairly short. Her hair is cut quite short, salt and pepper, right? And she wears like her glasses around her neck because she only needs them to read. And as you say, doctor, she turns around and she says, "Oh, Abbas bhai, haven't seen you in a while. I'm just finishing with this patient. Will you give me just 1 minute?" And like,
of course,
turns around, like gives some instructions, and then looks back at you once she's done with that and says, "Yeah, so what brings you to my part of the city? We're only a 15-minute walk away, and I haven't seen you here in 2 months at least."
So sorry. I've been so busy with the temple, right? I've just got my nephew's just come back, and we've just been trying to get everything settled, right?
A weekly wave.
Yeah, as you can probably imagine, right? Like I'm the only one who can really take care of things over there, so it's been like really hectic for me. But speaking of my nephew, that's actually why I'm here. So like, he hurt his head or something. I don't really know. I gave him the ginger root, but he's still complaining. He's saying that it's not working for him.
Abbas, I've told you, and I keep telling you this, unless you have the full training, just prescribing doesn't do everything you need it to. I mean, like ginger root is very good, but come here. And I think she looks at you and like does the thing, right? Like she will take your face in her hands, like make you look left and right, make you open your mouth. And then I think just when you're like, oh,
I think Abbas is like I think Abbas is gonna be kind of actually like a little uncomfortable about this because he's recently divorced and everything. Like he's a bit stiff, just for flavor.
And I think
is he a bit stiff, huh?
I think she then asks you to like. She looks at you and says, "Close your eyes for me and tell me, is your pain more like hot flame or embers?"
He's addressing Miraz, right?
Oh, sorry. This was she was addressing Miraz this whole time. Okay, never mind. Take me back. Abbas, disregard that. Abbas is just I don't know.
No, I think like
Dr. Sen's instruments.
I think she is gonna get to you, but like because you've pointed at Miraz, she's gonna go for him first.
Okay, yeah, and I was just saying, disregard everything. She goes to check on Miraz. Abbas is now just fiddling around with her like devices, just out of curiosity while that happens.
So sorry, hot. It hurts a lot. Yeah, and he's got his eyes closed. Struggling to keep them open. He's got a fever.
And I think then she.
I put a ginger root in the wound. Was that? Yeah, I did that.
I think she looks at Abbas and says, "You understand that the paste making process is really quite delicate, and you cannot simply."
It wasn't a paste. It was I took the ginger and I put it on the wound the way Uncle told me to. And then I kind of mime. I'm kind of like
Please
hitting
stop
myself on
hitting
the scar a
yourself,
little bit, and
child.
then I stop
Uh,
because that hurts.
And I think
Oh, you're being too soft on him. Look. And Abbas is going to kind of pull his sleeve. Like, see this card over here. I got it while playing roof ball when I was his age, right? Right? Piece of pipe went right through one end, other. What did I do? Pulled it out, put the ginger root, and now I'm fine.
think Triparna just like is used to your antics, but like looks at you and says, kindly do not attempt to prescribe medical advice to your nephew when I am standing right in front of you. Because you know and I know that you are wrong. I was there when you pulled that pipe out of your arm and you were bleeding like a stuck pig. And then she looks at Miraz and says, listen, what you need is bed rest and lots of water. Cut doesn't seem very bad. Probably clean it, but like Abbas says, given the kinds of things that you've put in it by now, probably just done whatever you need to just to survive. How about you? And then she turns around and like yells for like one of her students, and like makes her stand in front of you, and like gives like uses you as like an example, right? And says, "How about you take this wheelchair back with you? I don't think you're in a very good position to walk back. Abbas can stay here and we can discuss whatever it is that Abbas wants to speak with me." And she hands you like a very like methodical recipe for how to make the ginger paste that you should be using. And you can see that like she's probably very used to like writing this recipe. So like she just like takes out a piece of paper. Oh wow, now I'm thinking, what is pen technology like in Udwasha? He uses a pencil, it's fine. Uses a bit of like lead to just like write down the recipe, puts it in your pocket, and says, follow the instructions carefully. Nothing will go wrong if you don't. It's just that, well, you should be doing slightly more than just jabbing the root into your forehead.
I'll make a paste. Thank you, doctor. Thank you. So, uncle, I guess you're wheeling me
No,
back.
Abbas is going to stay here, isn't he?
You're really going to make me do this?
Oh no, this very nice
how's the
student
embers
that
gonna get back
Triparna has asked to is gonna, yeah.
Oh, right.
Because
Okay.
Triparna has words to exchange with Abbas.
Right.
He's your friend, so she's not gonna do it in front of your nephew.
There's a rule for like healing yourself, right? Which I think is what I'm gonna be doing.
I think the rule is that like you roll 0 dice or something, unless you have the ability.
1 stress and roll 0 dice.
Yeah, sure, but I was gonna say that like she has given you the correct medical advice. If you follow her advice, you will get a die from her. If you don't follow her advice, yeah, then it'll be 0 dice and 1 stress.
I'll take 1 stress, but I'm also, because I'm doing it on my own, but I'll roll
That's
her
fine.
for her. Is that okay? Mm-hmm. Submit 1 dice.
Yeah, so
Recovery
that's
3.
one take on
Very
your.
bad. I'm gonna do it again, but I'm not going to take stress again. I'm just going to do it again. It's clearly a laborious process, and I think like Miraz is also. I don't think he's actually feeling
No, I
nearly
don't.
as
Yeah,
bad as he's making it out to be.
it's level
Like, I
1
think,
harm. It's more that he just wants to. Wow, you rolled a 1
Oh, Jesus
after rolling a 3. Maybe it's just psychological at this point, isn't it? It's not even like such a bad cut. You're kind of fine. You just feel kind of shit, and that's a problem that no ginger paste can solve for you, unfortunately.
Excellent. Okay, so that's my free downtime. I might indulge vice. We'll see.
Abbas, I think Triparna is like, as you watch Miraz being wheeled away, she like idly scratches her nose and says, "Oh, what's been keeping you away?"
Well, yeah, it's just temple stuff. But actually, to tell you the truth, I've come here for something else. Do you mind if we talk in your office?
Yeah, we're just about done here anyway. And then like you see her put her fingers in her mouth and like let out like a very sharp, high-pitched whistle. And this seems to be like the understood signal for we are on break until I whistle for you again. And then she says, "Okay, this way," and leads you to her office.
Okay, so I think this should probably be like me having a project because I guess you can tell me because Abbas is trying to get his old gang back together to I guess start a newspaper essentially.
The way that I think this can work is that if you want at the end of this, like a group of people with whom you can work, and they will be producing this newspaper, right? That basically sounds to me like you're looking for a cohort, right? You're looking for people whom you can rely on and you can kind of like give instructions to. In this case, they won't be working for you, right? Like you will all be kind of more or less equal, but we can use the cohort framework. And I think that is a 12-step clock because like at the end of it, you will have like a fairly powerful thing, right?
Okay.
I think
Any other options?
okay,
or,
so
yeah, I mean,
I
this is
think
fine,
the
but just
other thing
to
that you could do is basically like figure out which favor you need to do, or like figure out what you need to make this work. And then if you do like a 4-step clock, then if you do like basically we'll make it into like a score. And then if you do that score, then you'll get what you want.
I guess like okay, let's just play out the scene and see where it goes because like getting a course fine because all I want to do right now is speak to my friend
And see where it goes.
give her my thoughts. Yeah,
Yeah.
because this is someone who has known me back in my younger days,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
right,
Yeah.
yeah, like okay, so
Did you have a
but
crush on her back in the day?
who knows? I guess we can find out. Maybe Abbas won't be, divorcee for much longer. We'll see. um, okay, so we're in our office.
Yeah.
Right?
She's got like she's a fairly senior doctor, right? So she's got like a fairly nice office, a bit messy, but you can tell that she knows where everything in the office is, right? So files everywhere,
Yeah.
one well kept bookshelf of medical texts, and I think like a little set of herbs growing along a window. And one of the interesting things about Uduasha, of course, is that the plants in Uduasha, there is no sunlight in this world. However,
Right.
because of the reflected firelight, the plants here have somehow become used to using like the firelight in order to grow. And I think she is running like a very small experiment in her off time to figure out like how this changes between this and the other kinds of plants, which are what are they called? The electroplasmic plants. They're called something, aren't they?
Radiant energy.
Radiant energy
yeah.
plants. Yes, correct. I think she's doing a little experiment to figure out how the Uduasha style of growing
Right.
compares to the radiant energy growing.
I think the slight messiness of the office is, Abbas approves because he knows that every true scholar's office should be like inscrutable to anyone else. Yeah, he makes he pushes some books out of the way, makes some space, sits down, and goes, Triparna, actually, to be very honest with you, something has been troubling me recently.
Oh, go on.
I've been looking, at the state of things here, and do you remember when we were younger and we were seeing this city being, and as more and more Akarasi started to come here, and we used to care, you know. Nowadays, I think the kids they don't care anymore.
Boss.
And I see these. Yeah, sorry. What?
No, I think that's all she says. I think she just says your name in like a kind of way.
And I see these other groups. They say like the Tartal, Ajanib. You've heard of them, right? Underground. They're doing God knows what's over there. And they say that they're here to help the people, but they're taking it all in their own hands. They're giving no one else a choice. And I think that we weren't like that. When we were young, like it was all of us, right? It wasn't just me saying to some that I am now in charge and doing whatever the hell that I want. I think we need something like that back. Something has to let people know what is going on, so that people can decide for themselves what they want to do. Because I've thought long and hard about this report. I have, and I know something needs to be done, for sure. Something needs to be done, but I cannot do what. Like, I cannot become the kind of guy who bombs a place and says that's for freedom. No, I cannot be that kind of guy. But I need to do something, and I think you can, you remember what it was like. I need your help on this.
I think Triparna looks at you and says, "No, I'm not sure you have actually asked me for my help in a long time, which is why I will be completely forthright with you. I'm seeing it too. It's the new students who come in, who they turn up, and they're very good physicians, and they pick work up very quickly. But no, it seems to me that the fire is missing, and we're in Uduwasha, Abbas. How can they not have any fire in them? Where I see it in the refugees from Kethers. They're hungry. They refuse to take no for an answer. I have a student who is Kethrasi who picks everything I say up and comes back next day with a dozen questions. It used to be like that.
I mean, what can I say? Like, my own nephew, you saw him here. Like, he wants, if he had it his own way, like, this would be possible within, by tomorrow. So this place. And I try to talk to him. I try to tell him what we have to do, but it is what it. The kids, like, they grow up watching Akoros. They think this is normal, but we have to. I think, like, look, you. And I'm just not saying this because you are my friend. You are the best doctor. If not in Iruvia, then if not in the world, then definitely in Iruvia. And this is what we need to tell our people: is that no, we don't need Akoros to show us, like, to give us anything. We have the power to make things happen on our own. We need to we need to show our people what we are capable of. In this past years, like, I don't know what has been like for you, but I've been kind of just, I've been thinking, I've been having thoughts to myself, but I've never shared them with anyone. And I think that the time has come to maybe publish something, to put my thoughts out there, see if anyone, who will listen. And, if something happens, then something happens. But if nothing happens, then at least we can say that, we did our part.
Thus, I think that it would be a lot of work. It would be a lot of work because we would really need more than just you and me. And you know me, I think this is a good idea. I just don't think that we can do it on our own. Where are we gonna get the funds for this anyway?
Well, I expect at some point we can get the newspaper. If we make a newspaper, we can get it to sell. But the startup funds, what are we going to need? We'll need researchers. We'll need stock paper. We'll need. What's the state of printing technology in Uduasha, do you think?
I think that, like,
Should be fairly good, I
yeah.
think. No?
Chandlers are obviously capable of creating, like, fairly advanced wax mechanisms, and certainly printing on paper seems to be, like, not very tough. I think, like, Triparna's concern is more about getting the people rather than getting the technology.
Yeah. Look, in this university, we have good people. We just need to talk to them, and they'll tell us. Because everyone here has thoughts, like, I have some material that I can contribute. Obviously, I know you've had thoughts about what's going on, about the state of science, and the education in like anything. We can just start with that, and then if we can get something going, I think then once we get something out there, it'll be easier to convince more and more people to join the paper.
And we should start things like this, like pushing something off the top of Uduasha. By the time it falls down into the city below, well, a damn landslide. You just gotta find the right push.
Okay, so all right, it's a fruitful conversation, but I guess. Yeah, all right. So I think Abbas will go. Look, as you know, I've been away from the university for a long time. So if you have any leads, anything at all, anyone who can, who you know will try to join, then I will take anyone right now.
Okay. I mean, like when you give me like an opening like that, how can I not take it? I think Triparna will say, "Oh, there's this professor in the anthropology and history department. He's a bit of a firebrand. Certainly quite odd. You could look him up, make an appointment, and
Yeah.
if you can, meet him with some friends. He can get a little antsy one-to-one.
Don't worry, Triparna. I know I have just a friend and a firebrand. That's exactly the kind of person we need. Thank you, Triparna. Thank you so much. I will have, and I'm so sorry. I know I should have come to visit, but I've been just so busy. Look, we'll get this thing rolling, and you and I, we need to catch up.
Yes, we do. And then she walks out and immediately whistles again, and she's straight back onto work. It's like your cue to be like, okay, I'm out of time now. Like I've spent all of my break on you, and now I gotta get back.
All good. All right. Okay, Vickers, you and I are gonna.
We are going to what?
we have to. We have someone to. We have someone to convince to join the paper. I need a friend, and like Vickers is just a friend.
Sure.
Yeah.
I will help you persuade them of this matter. It'll be interesting.
Yeah. Okay, but I think we can do that later, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's all my downtime actions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like you were starting the project, no?
Yeah, I think
So you should probably roll for that.
Oh yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, so you indulge Vice and started a project. Those are your two actions. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay, so someone walk me through this because I do not know how to do that. Like how to.
It's a fortune roll. You basically are rolling some sort of action, and then you have a fortune roll based on it. Sounded like consort.
Yeah, it sounded a lot like consort.
Oh, let's see.
Probably take a dice for your friend.
Yeah, and because she's a good friend of yours, this is not going to cost you 6. Very good. So that is 3.
Okay, so 6 means 3 ticks.
Very good. I mean, I think that
I'm starting a podcast within this podcast.
Yes, that is absolutely what is happening.
Amazing.
And I think that she is the reason that this goes so well, and like that 6 is from a help, right? Because you rolled a 1, a 2, and a 6 on your 3 dice.
Yeah.
Is that she's very enthusiastic about this. Like you've caught her at a time where she's clearly been thinking about this for a while herself. So I think it's not just that she's put you onto someone. She's like doing some digging and like figuring out like who else she can ask and all this stuff, right? So
all right, very good.
Great. And Joan.
So I think we cut to Joan in her room, her own like kind of sleeping space, and it's kind of like a small and dark place where the curtains are drawn, just a little bit of light illuminating the dust in the air. And she is sitting on the bed thinking about everything that she's learned in this day and the last, about how this temple seems to be moving away from like the peaceful retreat that she thought it would be, and about the threat that it's the very direct threat of being bulldozed that it's currently under, feeling that she needs to do something about it. And she's been, perhaps the Eternal One is right, and she too has been too passive. And that is the moment where she decides that she has fought ghosts on top of speeding rail cars. And though there are parts of that life that she still wants to move away from, she doesn't have to spend the rest of her days as like a very civilian person with her head down. So she hops from the bed, puts on some gloves, puts on some like railjack climbing gear under her like kind of normal clothes, and heads out the door. What I would like to do is something of a risky thing, something of a gather information.
Mhm.
And I want to sneak into a place to gain information on the people who are going to be doing the inspection. And it could very much be like, if it's possible that one of them has a home that can be snuck into as like a simple action role.
Mhm.
Yeah, it sounds like we are acquiring an asset to me,
Mhm.
which is like good intel. I think that's how
Yeah.
it should be handled mechanically.
Seems reasonable. I think that
And that's what I would do.
yeah, and I think there is you're right that there is some risk here. I think very straightforwardly the risk here is probably more heat, right? Like it's just that this is the kind of thing that would get people talking and people are likely to notice. Let's just say that on a 1 to 3 it'll be 2 heat, on a 4 to 5 it'll be 1, and then on a 6 you manage not to attract any attention, right?
Right.
And what action are you rolling? This seems like a prowl if you're sneaking in somewhere.
Yeah, it's a prowl or it's a hunt, but I think prowl is more fitting.
Yes, I agree.
And I think it is absolutely an action that she would be pushing herself on, considering that it's not a stress-free activity to sneak into someone's
Oh yeah,
house.
absolutely.
And I'll make it as just like an action roll, not as a fortune roll.
Yeah,
Right?
that makes sense.
But we'll see.
That's a 5.
So it's going to be a 5.
Yeah. I think that you know some of the people who are going to be doing this inspection because Boshundara's crew is fairly well known to Zajidan and to the temple, because they're always the people who are going to turn up and hassle all of you, right? And I think it's not very hard for you, practiced as you are, back down one of the houses. She's a woman who kind of older woman, lives alone. And you watch her leave to go to work, and it's the work of half a moment to I don't know, do you bother picking the lock, or do you just kind of shove it until it gives?
I think she climbs into a window.
Excellent.
Because she has she brought climbing gear for a reason.
Very good. Yeah, this person also lives in Udaipur, right? So you're able to very easily clamber up and get in. I think what you see is a document written in Boshundara's hand, which details the steps that they are going to take during the inspection. And you know that Boshundara is kind of annoyingly, she's very obsessed, doing the right things at the right time. And so you can see that this is micromanagement at its core. And what it says basically is that they are going to come probably when you get there, when you read this letter, it says, in 2 days, you will arrive at about 8 a.m. and they're gonna they will have all the right documents. And it says, please do not forget to bring this form and this form and this form. And they intend to do a full audit of quote unquote structural integrity of the temple. And I think you basically understand that what they are using as the excuse is that because the temple is falling apart, at any moment it could just collapse and murder everybody who is living under it, all down into Uduasha, right? And you know that this is not gonna happen. This is pretty blatantly just an excuse. But this is the excuse that they have managed to use in order to make this happen. And I think as you leave, someone walks up to you once you've even made your way out, and then just hands you a bit of climbing gear or something that maybe had fallen out of your pocket. You didn't even think you needed it anymore. You chucked it, you threw it away. And this person hands it back to you and says, oh, sorry, just thought you were missing this. With a look in his eye as if to be I know what you did. And I think that's kind of where the attention is, right? This is not the kind of place where
that makes sense.
This is not the kind of place where he's not going to go up to her and be yes, someone snuck into your house, but certainly someone noticed.
I think she literally just tries and again against her own expectation manages to play it cool. Well, much appreciated. And she winks and then walks away.
Yeah. So yeah, that was your first downtime action. And I think like this is actually like pretty good information because you know exactly what you need to attack in order to like make this go away.
Yeah.
How successful you will be at that, we'll find out, I guess.
Okay, what's Joan's second action? Because it might be a scene with Vickers, if depending on what it
I'm
is.
cool with that.
Because Vickers wants to see His Majesty. So I don't know if your second downtime action ties into that, or if your second downtime action is a separate scene.
I think it can totally tie in.
Okay, cool. So, Vickers will at some point show up to Joan's room. Like, we haven't had that many interactions, right? But she will show up with a polite knock on the door.
Mm-hmm.
And when you open, she is carrying a basket of muffins.
You found the time to bake?
Well, yes, sort of. You see, we're doing this charity event, and I thought I should prepare some snacks to hand out to people. They're quite nice, she says, looking down at her basket of appetizing muffins. So you see, they're manta ray flavored. Anyway, it got me to thinking. I never did apologize to His Majesty about my very rude incursion not too long ago, and I thought, well, would you by any chance know if His Majesty enjoys muffins or any other sort of baked goods? She says, looking kind of sheepish.
I wouldn't presume to speak for his tastes, but I guess the gesture is not something that can easily fall wrong, yes?
Well, I just thought you're on the best terms with him of anyone around here, and you seem to understand His Majesty's quirks. And well, I just thought, after having embarrassed Miraz so dreadfully in front of His Majesty, I just thought I should apologize.
I can come with you if you want. It would be the second time today.
Yes, thank you very much. I must confess, I'm a little bit nervous. Am I appropriately attired? She says, looking down, probably still in like a roof ball uniform, but having put on some of the priestly vestments over it.
I don't think he cares.
Oh, good. Excellent. Not much of a fashion sense. Good to know.
Shall we go then?
Yeah. So Vickers will go alongside Joan, looking slightly nervous about this meeting with, the elder god, the snake, this time. Because now she's not fueled by her anger, and she's feeling slightly regretful.
Very good.
I discovered I prepared for the bake. I prepared for the sale as well. Although I didn't have such a nice smelling result.
Oh, what have you got?
And then she takes out a letter.
Very good.
Yeah.
I guess plans.
Oh, delightful. Vickers says, clearly having no idea what is going on.
Well, it's the plans of the people who we're meant to impress, and I think I know their angle.
Oh, good. It always helps to know the opposition's angle. I'm sure that will come in great use somehow. Vickers says, still not fully understanding. Like, politics flies over her head as always. But anyway, Vickers' face lights up, and she says, "Anyway, I thank you very much for the contribution. I'm sure we can do great things with this, and it always helps to understand. What I don't understand is what these people could possibly have against us. We're a pillar of the community. Quite offended they would try to take this establishment down.
Maybe they want the roof down as well. The roof of which we are a pillar, that is.
What on earth? But that would be... Oh, dreadful, dreadful," Vickers says. It doesn't even want to think about the possible consequences. And is also not really capable of thinking about the consequences, because that would be thinking too many steps ahead.
Very good.
Anyway, maybe he is in the Sanctum Sanctorum. That's where he was last time. Although he was... Then he went... Anyway, he went away, but... Well, it's as good as a place as any to start looking now.
Very good, very good. I do wonder... You're so comfortable in his presence. Do you have any advice for me? It seems to come so easy to you to talk with giant serpentine people.
I suppose it helps not to worry too much about the fact that he is giant and serpentine.
No, that does make sense. I've always been of the mind that you ought to treat people with courtesy, unless they don't treat you with courtesy. Vickers says, and briefly flashes through her mind the image of breaking Morrisim's legs. But it is good advice. I really ought not to be too taken aback by things I've seen in this city. Both you and I are outsiders to some degree, and there are an awful lot of strange customs here in Iruvia which I don't quite fully understand, I do admit.
I think the intelligence of the monkeys is more flabbergasting than, well,
Oh, yes. I keep hearing so much about these monkeys. Vickers has no memory of her encounter with them because they happen in the morning.
Excellent. So I guess we go and find His Majesty once again.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this time, whether or not this is surprising to you, this time he's actually in conversation with Zajidan, and he is. You find him in a little alcove. I think in just off most recently excavated parts of the temple. And it looks like what is happening is that Zajidan and the snake are both peering at a chessboard, and they appear to be playing chess.
Great.
It's adorable.
Yes.
And yeah,
I think I will look to Joan for what is the etiquette here.
Yeah. And by the way, I think for the listeners, but also for the players, the snake having no arms cannot actually move the pieces. I think the snake communicates to Zajidan what move he wants to make, and then Zajidan makes that move for the snake.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Joan will peer over the edge and just kind of carefully cuff in a very or clear her throat in a very in a way where it's obvious that there was nothing to clear. It was just to gain attention.
Yeah. Zajidan looks up and says, "Oh, Vickers and Joan, so nice to see you. To be honest, quite a tricky position His Majesty has put me in. And I think probably Zajidan's the only person who will call the snake His Majesty to his face. Because technically he's meant to be referred to only as the Eternal One, right?
I know, but no one has told me this. So.
Indeed, yes. And seeing Zajidan do it, absolutely nothing wrong with it, clearly, right?
Yeah. Yes. So I will approach and I will say to Zajidan, well, I brought some refreshments if you're interested. Now they're meant for His Majesty, but and she takes out one muffin and then she realizes oh no, wait. I'm sorry, this is far too much sugar in it. And she puts it back. Zajidan can't have too much sugar, he's unwell. I also want to note that the muffins are sugar and manta ray flavored.
Oh my god! They're manta ray flavored? What is... Okay, have you ever had... Can you describe manta ray flavor to me?
No, I don't know, but Vickers adheres to the Doskvol cuisine, which mostly consists of weird things from the sea.
Right, okay. I think that somehow this muffin has a weird texture to it. Right? It's kind of rubbery, even though it really shouldn't be.
Yep.
And the snake is kind of nonchalant because Zajidan is it seems like Zajidan is kind of in a bind in this position. So the snake is yep, take your time, don't worry about it. And looks at you and says, oh, what is this confectionery you have brought me?
Well, I thought I should clear the air between us. I understand that last time I barged in, I was behaving terribly rudely, and I'm so sorry for interrupting your meeting. I thought I should apologize formally with a basket of muffins. I do hope you eat muffins. I hope it wasn't too presumptive of me.
Well, I could certainly buy a muffin. Tell me, is this something you have made with your own hands?
Oh yes. Genuine Doskvol cuisine. She says and squeezes one of the rubbery muffins that could probably be used as a roof ball in a pitch.
Absolutely.
In a pinch.
I think the snake says, how could I refuse such a heartfelt offering?
Oh, delightful. I'm so happy you're not holding a grudge. Thank you very much. And I will throw him a muffin, I guess. He doesn't have arms, so I will throw one of the rubbery muffins into his mouth.
Yeah, and very much like a snake, like darting towards its prey. It will grab the muffin out of the air, not even really bother to chew, right? Like swallow it straight through, and then it will say,
Yeah.
interesting flavor.
Oh, very good. I shall leave the rest as a snack for your match, but do make sure that Sejidan doesn't have more than at most 1 or 2. Sugar is very bad for his constitution. He says and sets down the muffins gently beside the chessboard.
I think I think he then says, I'm afraid, however, that this does not exactly settle the matter between us. You see, I take no particular offense at you coming to meet with me. Of course, any member of our family is welcome to, but your relationship with Abbas and my relationship with Abbas are quite different. And that, I'm afraid, will not be particularly solved by very interesting, I must say. How do you propose that we might bridge this?
Well, as I understand, you gave him a good talking to and set him on the right path. I understand now, since our last conversation, that he was having a little bit of a crisis of faith, if you will, and I completely misjudged the situation, but I am sure he will not make such a mistake again. And I certainly will not. And if I do, I shall apologize. Now, you've been nothing but courteous to me, accepting me into your house and into this family and so forth, and I am quite grateful for that, and I shall endeavor not to offend you again. Your Majesty, he says, addressing him by the wrong title to his face.
I think the snake. I mean, snakes generally look like they're smiling, but this one's definitely looks like it's smiling.
Uh-huh.
And it will say,
Uh-huh.
it will say, I hear that you may be planning some sort of sporting event in the temple.
Oh, yes. Well, on the rooftops, actually.
In this case, I would appreciate it if you could set up some form of viewing platform where I might also observe without needing to interact with the masses.
Oh, certainly. I would be delighted to. I shall arrange some sort of shade or the like. Don't you worry about it. You are going to enjoy the match. It's going to be quite spectacular. Now, don't let me interrupt your game, please.
Yeah, and what this does mean is that the snake will be actively interested in this match.
Yeah, sure. I'll give him front row seats. No problem.
Great, fantastic. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Zajidan's going to play a move, and the snake will say, "Oh, rook. Interesting move," and immediately will tell Zajidan to make his next move because one's a snake and the snake god, and the other one's a person. And then turn his attention back to you and says, "That will be all then. Unless you have something else."
Oh yes. No, don't let me interrupt your game. Please do enjoy. Have a wonderful afternoon, and I shall see you at the match, hopefully. And then, as the snake turns back towards the chessboard, I will turn to Joan, and in a low voice say, "Wonderful advice. I ought not be so prejudiced, really. You're quite right. Everyone's just a person when it comes down to it." And my action here is I'm taking training, and I'm taking iron will to take Joan's advice to heart.
Yes. Excellent.
I shall be immune to supernatural terror henceforth, because Joan is quite correct. Everyone can be, as long as you treat people courteously, it's fine.
Very good. Yeah, amazing. I love it. Oh,
Yes, I no longer fear gods or demons. They can be appeased with muffins. Joan has taught me this.
Amazing.
Muffins and front row tickets to your matches.
Yes, that too.
For me, this will also have been a downtime actually to train, and at the end, and I did quite have the XP. It doesn't quite finish my XP track, but it will represent her becoming her attunements to the Eternal One becoming a bit more solidified as I take the first of my many planned weird special abilities.
Which one is this first one going to be? I'm curious because I want to know what you're seeing and what she's seeing in the scene.
In many legends and myths, I think snakes are somewhat associated with hypnosis and with being pretty good at talking to people in a kind of holding of attention kind of way. So hypnotic is what I would take.
Yes, very good. I think what you're seeing is not only the snake being hypnotic, but also someone who is very practiced at resisting that hypnotism, right? Because Rajudan has known the snake for such a long time. And I think you are picking up on some nuance that you might not otherwise pick up on, right? Because he's doing this almost like effortlessly and unconsciously. And it's like fascinating to see how he's able to do that.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Great. So is that all of our downtime? I think it is, right?
I think it is. I also want to note that we have a ton of heat, and none of us have done anything about that.
That's fine.
But
It's totally fine.
I'm
It's
fine.
okay. We don't know that we have to do that.
No.
Yes.
We're just a random tempo crew.
Yeah.
Tempo, like custodians.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then let's take a break here for about 5 minutes, and then we can come back and see the beginning of the score. Does that make sense? Okay.
Lovely.
No?
And so blows out our brief candle. I named the disciples of the ceaseless temple thus, with both their false names and true. Soumithri, called Tree as the GM. Zoheb, called Klow as Miraz. Prince as Vickers. Emma as Joan. Aadiyat, called Soap as Abbas. Blades in the Dark and the original inspiration for Udo Asha by John Harper and Evil Hat Productions. Iruvian playbooks by Johnstone Metzger. Jalandhar intro music by Kevin MacLeod. Outro music in Keeravani Ragam by U. Srinivas. Follow us at Desperate Attune on Twitter or email us at desperateattune@gmail.com. Support us at ko-fi.com/desperateattune.